Hey, this is Individual Perspective Podcast. I am your host, Daris D, McKinney, and we're on track. Okay? I wanted to get through some political stuff to kind of update you guys to the condition of this election, And I call this episode Trump's Saboteurs, meaning like sabotage people that actually, if he lose, this is the reason why. You get what I'm saying? Because, I don't understand this. And it's just to try to even articulate this stuff to you guys and be mild-mannered about it. It's almost just, it's a hard one. Because, I think the problem with the Republican Party, not Trump and not his supporters, the Republican Party and conservatives, is that they do everything in an illogical point of view. As if what they, if you rewind 10 to 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, immigration was like a shunned thing where you don't even talk about it. You run an election and you don't even talk about it because it's a high probability that you're gonna win. You're gonna lose. I'm sorry. It's a high probability you're gonna lose. So the Republican Party decide they were gonna do an autopsy and stuff. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I think the American people, not even American people, I think conservatives, evangelicals, Christians, Mormons, I think they forget how pathetic their ideological point of view is to keep the sanity and the actual legacy of this country. I think you guys just completely missed it, and you don't take any credibility or any accountability to how terrible your rules, your guidance, your opinion, it like destroyed this country. This country is so degenerate and destructive. Even the Christian values are terrible here. You have one person talking about Jesus on one hand, and on the other hand, they kind of doing everything to appease an opposition to Jesus and God and all that stuff like that. So how are you going to advocate your Christianity, your Mormonism, your evangelicalness and stuff, and then you, on the other hand, you're showing acceptance to stuff that's totally against your teachings and stuff. I'm not saying people should be against anything. I'm just saying first we got to have the conversation. I already had this conversation, and you can watch a couple episodes ago, but the conversation of morals and values, that stuff got to stop. You guys may care about how you raise your kids and how you conduct yourself in your house, but when you leave your house and your family leaves your house, you're telling each other to be acceptance to anything that's in our society. Work with anybody that's total opposition to which your teachings are. And I'm just saying, that's the problem with living life. In order to be in a civilized environment, you have to be inclusive. You have to be inclusive of people that's different than you, got different beliefs than you, got different lifestyles than you, and everything, because you're trying to coexist with other human beings. In order to coexist with other human beings, you have to tolerate the differences of those human beings, even if it's something that's just ridiculous against your belief system. You have to almost disrespect or dilute your own values and morals and which you are approve of in order to be inclusive in society. You have to. So once you understand that that's the real truth, that's the facts of the situation, and everything else is lying and is propaganda and is manipulating and it's just fooling and it's not honest. So in order for us to even walk around with all these different lifestyles, like even the LGBTQIA plus extreme capitalists, greed, financial differences and stuff like that, and deference and stuff like that. Just even in business, how you make good decisions and bad decisions to your business and who you allow yourself to partner with and interact with, and how much like partnership or even way of being that you even allow yourself with the next person. You know what I mean? We do it on a day-to-day basis. We probably minute by minute, hour by hour, we do it, where we are evaluating and making judgments to a deference. Like, I'm more valuable than you to me, and what do I need to do to keep that kind of situation going and keep me, and so I can be stable and I can pay for the roof on my head, or I can kind of deal with my life in a way that is more of a favorable thing than a total stressed and depressed situation. So I done it. I kind of like felt like, in order to achieve things, you got to partner with people. You got to team with people. And I know that I spent a long time knowing that the worst thing I could do is partner with people. That's the worst thing you could do, because you could ensure that people would do what people do. And in that scenario, everything goes. Anything goes. You're going to put yourself in a scenario where anything goes. Any shadiness that could be placed upon you, or corrupt or salacious or like very harmful things can happen to you, because you're more people you interact with, more people in society, and more probability that you're going to encounter certain things. The more people you're around, the more things you can encounter, good or bad. That's the yin and the yang in life. So I knew in order to get certain things done, I had to use actors and crew members and certain people to kind of get certain things done. Otherwise, it's just a thought in my head. And I've never been about having thoughts in my head. If I have an idea, I want it to be real. I want it to be physically real. And when you're a filmmaker, like I am, you have to get the equipment. You have to be able to, at any given time, be able to follow, like turn an idea into an action. So that's what I did. I did whatever it took. So an idea that I had came into real physical situation. In the making of that and the actually doing of that, I found that there's some very unsavory things that are just baseline. It's just baseline. It's just the way, just the interaction of human beings are. It's certain things that are just, it's without a doubt gonna happen if you're dealing with humans. So that's what I mean by baseline. Certain things that's gonna happen, you think like they're unavoidable. You think you could like intellect yourself or be in a good environment that certain things don't happen. No, certain things just gonna happen no matter what environment you're in, what type of people that you surround yourself, good or bad, rich or poor, or anything, whatever. You get what I'm saying? It's gonna happen. So baseline things I'm very highly aware of. But people, they act like the baseline things are something special, something new, or something that can't be perceived or calculated. And that's where they kind of fall to the wayside and not overcome whatever they do, because whatever they're doing, they think it's something grand. But for me, I'm calculating that there's going to be a moment, it's going to be a certain specific situation that you're going to do that's going to make you do this. And when you do that, I already calculated that you're going to do that. So I already made this move, this decision, got this part of the job done. So once you make that move, I can execute on how I need to handle you, how I need to, what actions I need to do, what decisions I need to make. And I don't have to stay in that situation so long. I just make the decision and move forward. And never let the ball stop rolling, because nothing is, I always tell people, it's nothing special about you. Nothing special about you. I tell black people this all the time. It's nothing special about you because you was enslaved, like your ancestor was enslaved. Millions of people before you, thousands of years before you, people were enslaved the same exact way and worse. There's nothing special about black American slave. Nothing. You were just the weaker vessels. Africans in Africa felt like you were the weaker tribe, and for them to get resources from the colonialists and the colonists, you know, they decided to trade you onto the ship, go into your tribe, kidnap you, put you on the boat, get guns, clothing, cloth, gold, all kind of stuff, excavation stuff and everything else, and whatever the advancement of the Western culture was. That's what African tribes sold other Africans into slavery for. There's nothing special about black Americans and black slaves. So the fact, when you understand that, then you can understand where you're at right now and the decisions and how you hurt each other. We're in a very powerful place in America, black Americans, and we've been that way for 40, 50 years, and we just squandered it. Squander all the advancement we could have gave our culture, our race, and different things that we could have mobilized ourselves. But we listened to the Black Caucus. We listened to the activists, and we didn't act on what our abilities was. You got to ask yourself, because I think our black Americans are just the same way. Why didn't Oprah Winfrey, Sidney Poitier, Will Smith, Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Martin Lawrence, Dave Chappelle, who else? Who else? A great big black activism, even not activists, but actually powerful in our culture. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Tiger Woods. Why did they do what Tyler Perry did in Atlanta? They're all in the industry, or they got money in the industry, and they do investments in the media industry. Why did they open up a competing studio lot, a studio world like Warner Brothers, like Tyler Perry did in Atlanta? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Because innately in us is a every man for themselves. We'll give certain support, we'll help out, we get charitable help out, but long as it doesn't put too much risk on us, or it make it no risk at all, really. You know what I mean? So we never grow, we never get that magical, powerful thing that can happen like Disney, like Warner Brothers, like something big and mammoth. That will feed off itself, and it will always grow from itself. We could never come together and have something like that as a black culture, because we are so every man for themselves, and you can't be more famous than me. You can't have more money than me. You can't be more successful than me. You can't have more clout than me. You can't do as much as me. I don't want you to have as much value as I have. It's enough for everybody when it comes to clout and valuation and all the other stuff. But we get in each other's way so much and we're trying to stop the growth of each other so much that Like even me in Detroit, I think people put a lot of energy on not assisting me, and handicapping me and trying to sabotage what I'm doing in order to feel like they're over me or they have a more valuation than me. But sooner or later, that's not going to be in your control. It's not going to be in your control. Because I've passed the part where you could have got me. You could have stopped me. I would not have been able to accomplish anything, or I would have been incomplete on stuff or not been able to complete things because I don't got the foundation of it. But once I got the foundation of it, once I built that house, it's, painting the drywall is not an issue. That could be done sooner or later. You know what I mean? The hard part is putting up the foundation, the cement, the 2x4s, and then the drywall and the walls and the insulin and the windows and stuff like that. Me putting fixtures in the wall and painting the wall that's too easy to get accomplished, and that's where I'm at in everything I'm doing and for the 5 films that I've worked on. But I say this, I know this makes no difference to the people that's watching this, but I need you guys to understand, sabotaging comes when people's perspective is all that matters. But what if your perspective is wrong? What if your perspective is telling you that you're wrong? That you have no validation to what your premise is and what your strategy is or anything like that. How are you going to go decades being wrong because you got an illogical point of view? Okay? I say that because I just want to remind people, like the situation it was with Romney and Paul Ryan. I think Romney and Paul Ryan has an essence into the Republican Party right now. All that bullshit Christian stuff, that evangelical stuff, that Mormon stuff is just retarded. You guys don't care about that stuff. You have destroyed Wisconsin with not making a judgment to how you feel families should be. Paul Ryan, it's ridiculous. I'm not here touting no families and kids and anti-abortion or anti-LGBTQIA plus. I'm not doing that because I know that's a losing battle. Why would you even occupy any of your time being anti-LGBTQIA plus, being anti-abortion, when 60%, 70% of your culture is supportive of it, inclusive of it? It's stupid. It's a stupid fight to have. And the Tea Party maybe thought like, oh, fight. But what did you fight yourself all the way into? Everything got worse. Everything got more acceptance. Meaning that you suck at the narrative. You can't say, hey, let's be friends. Let's be cordial. Let's have a clean conversation. Let's have a friendly conversation. And then, hey, I think you should be a man and a woman, or I think you should not get abortions. You should just keep your legs closed and stuff like that. How are you going to have that perception and then be inclusive to the opposition of it? That stops you from being able to have advocacy for it. You're going to have to say, nope, we're shaming it. We're shaming it. We're shaming it. The only way y'all going to win, like this election, is not because of if Trump wins, it sure as hell ain't because of the Republicans. It ain't because of Christians or evangelicals. You get what I'm saying? It's going to be because you came to terms that the fight for the survival of the Constitution in the country that we love, we were raised in love, and we was just starting to really get a handle on it. That country you love and you fighting for. This new way forward. What is that? What is that? No gas, electric cars, green energy, unlimited migration into the country. You get what I'm saying? The replacement of Black Americans. Black Americans hate each other so much. Women and men, black men hate black women so much that they wouldn't dare marry each other. That the new way is Kamala. It's literally a black woman marrying a white man, or a color woman marrying a white man. That's what this culture going to. Marrying a Hispanic, because the population of Hispanic is going up rapidly through the immigration and the migration situation. So it's black women marrying Hispanic men, if they do get married or not, and dating and everything. So now you have that. And that's just the way it is. I have no problem with that. I'm for interracial relationships. I'm 100% for it. You get what I'm saying? I'm just saying, whatever y'all thought that you're doing and what you're advocating for, it's not even in your control to advocate that anymore. How are you gonna be for like pro-life, and everything you do is it's pro-choice? Everything that Catholic Church do, Christian churches do, and how they conduct themselves in society, and what they advocacy for, and what they do in communication of that is in support of pro-choice. So why are you advocating like pro-life? I don't get that. It's a contradiction. It's hypocrisy to how you actually mobilize yourself into society. Suburban mom. So you living in your suburban neighborhood. You got your husband working. He comes home. You got a good family life, and you don't like the decorum of Donald Trump because he's so rude, and he don't show deference to women if they come up to the plate. If they actually come into attack, he attacked them just as vicious as he attack a man. And it's like, he should, even if it's a crazy woman and she's talking crazy to him, he should have some certain kind of decorum and statesman about it. No, hell no. No. You guys want chivalry, but you want freedom for women to make their decisions and all kind of stuff. It's a contradiction. Chivalry, politeness, and being a gentleman, that comes in deference to say that women are weaker than men. We're the dominant, and we're showing deference to you to show that we will roll out the carpet for you in your gentleness and your femininity and all that other stuff. And that's why we do it. We do it because you are the weaker sex, and we're trying to show a certain amount of politeness to you, that we're not going to conduct ourselves as men against men. With a woman, we try to open the door, we close the door, we be polite, we nod our heads, we take off our hat, we do all this chivalry stuff, pay the bill and all that stuff like that. We do that is showing deference of our control. But if you take that away, which that's what happened for the last 40 years, you have a unconscionable, uncalculated, unstructured culture. So, I mean, I know I'm jumping on here and I'm bitching and moaning for 27 minutes now. And I just, the information I'm about to show you guys, maybe I should just go there and just talk about that. It's very frustrating, very much. Okay, so let's go back. I just want to, let's just go. Remember, President Obama's second term, he won, okay?
The ecstatic crowd in that city screaming and cheering when the president took the stage with the First Lady to give his victory speech. It was well past 1:30 in the morning East Coast time when that happened. ABC's Jake Tapper was there and joins us now live from Chicago this morning. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, Elizabeth. It was a grueling grind of a campaign, but after almost 180,000 flight miles on Air Force One, 170 events by the president in battleground states, and hundreds of thousands of nasty negative ads on both sides, early this morning, it all came to an end with some grace and poetry.
It was a victory that came earlier than many expected.
I want to thank every American who participated in this election. Whether you voted for the very first time.
In that city screaming.
Okay. So, I mean, I just want you to remember, like, what's important for me to show you guys is the margins that Romney lost by. Cause everybody act all brand new and stuff. You know what I mean? But really, I think it was 306 electoral votes to 303 electoral votes to 203 or something like that. He really trounced them. Really trounced them. It was not even and that's supposed to be a president with decorum and statesman, and he could conduct himself. He got such manners, and he's such a great, polite gentleman and everything like that. And what did it get him? What did it get him? Him being demolished and an embarrassment. It was like a waste of $1 billion that was spent. I love how everybody want to act like they forgot that all last year and the 2 years ago and since 2020, everybody been saying Trump is unelectable. He's unelectable. If you vote for Trump, you voting for losing. Milwaukee did that too. Give me a second. I just want to go to show his numbers. You know what? I'm just gonna go to a actual graph of it. I'm not even gonna try to show it in a video because it's counterproductive, and I don't have time for it. Okay, so this is the map. I'll try to blow it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, what is that? So I think that's 332 to what? What is that? Okay. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to really prop this in. This up to conversation. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Just my eyes ain't so great. Okay, so we got 332 to 306. 332 President Obama to Romney's 206. He got trounced, completely demolished. NASA statesman and decorum and a great Mormon and a religious guy and a family oriented guy. You think everything got calmer from that point? You think our society got calmer than that point? You think the way the ideological point of view of liberals and socialists and Saul Alinsky Democrats, do you think it got softer from that point? While Romney and Paul Ryan does an autopsy of the RNC, does an autopsy to say, why did we lose the 2012 election? We're going to take a deep dive into see what happened and how we could be better for the American people. And what did they do? Oh, let's not talk about immigration. Let's not talk about abortion. Let's not do that. By not talking about it, we're in 2024 dealing with it under relentless advocacy. Look, women, who do you think you're doing a favor for when you get an abortion? Who do you think that favors? Man or women? Yourself or the man? Who do you think that favors? If a man doesn't have to spend his whole life with somebody that he should have never spent his whole life with, that's a plus for him. And if you guys got an opposition to the pregnancy and all that other stuff and you go ahead and get an abortion because it's your right, your autonomy and all that other stuff, then go right ahead. That's a great decision for the man to make for long term. And most men it was just a one night stand or just interaction like that. It was never to build a family. So your wanting and your favoritism and your at a drop of the hat to get an abortion, go right ahead. Most of the time, that's favorable to a man. Most of the time, it's favorable to a man. Most men, you women, the rhetoric and the pop culture and the social media influencers are telling you, oh man, just get women pregnant and they just leave them. That's an anomaly. Women are dating probably the top 5% of men. That's who women are dating. The top 5% of men that making $100,000 to $200,000 and up. That's who most women are dating. And if there's 5% of it and you have 80% of the women coming at you, that's why you see that's why a lot of single moms are out there. Single moms are out there because the guy came to interact with you probably for the moment, but you thinking it's going to be for life. So you're allowing pregnancy and all kind of stuff in the interaction of both of you guys. And really, he's already got a wife. He already got a girl. He already got, and it's just like this is the problem with our society. It is like in the manosphere, you get what I'm saying? You got people hate that. At least no matter how ugly and dangerous and ridiculous the manosphere is in actually exposing the truth of the dynamics between men and women, you now know. You now know men been shutting up for the last 40, 50 years, but they're communicating, hey, this is how we look at all this stuff. This is how we've been looking at subduing ourselves and being subservient to the rise and the advocacy of women's rights and women autonomy and all that stuff. This is how we feel about that. We can't do nothing about it, but this is how we feel about it. And we're going to go and now, because this is starting to not be a good thing for us to conduct our lives with, we got to go our distance. We got to take our own path because it's not good for my life. It's not good for me to even take care of my family or my woman if I'm being subservient to her existence. Now I gotta dominate. I gotta take my leadership approach back. I done it wrong. It was wrong. Men know it now. I'm telling you, that's what the manosphere is about. That's what all the guys like trying to get advice from other men that they could probably get their own self if they just stop, slow down, and pay attention to the most common sense, logical thing. They can advise their own self. Stop having people be above you. Stabilize yourself, make everything that's around you work for what you're trying to get accomplished. Be successful, then spread yourself to help everybody. But you need to take the leadership approach. You need to start going in your path. And if they don't want to jump on the train and do it, the woman don't want to be with you to go to your path, we did your approach. That's what I'm telling women. I know even in my own personal life, even me, I was a little bit, I would say majorly, like not trying to dominate women or kind of advocate like, hey, you don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like working so hard or, you know, doing things the way that you feel you want, that's good for you. You want to start going on the analyzation of a man. And I think women are good consultants for a path the man is taking. But if you got two people with two separate directions they're going in, two goals, two ways they see their life going, you get what I'm saying? You got an opposition. That's a counteracting situation. You're never going to have a cohesiveness to that. That's too much competing interests. That's what's going on. It's not rocket science. So when you see Romney and all these people try to advocate for what they think society should be like, what's your activism on that? What's your communication like on that? What narratives are you winning on that point of view? None? Shut up. I want the person's narrative to actually work in society, that actually interact with society. Yeah, you crappy Christians, you crappy Mormons, you crappy evangelical. The bad part about it is the best communicator for Christianity is Trump. He fought for it. He done stuff. He elevated it. He's fighting for just the theme of Christianity. He's not backing down or anything. All the abortions was going on unlimitedly in the country. 44 to 62 million abortions since 1970. And what you guys are doing? Touting, oh, we think that's bad. We're pro-life. We're going to do a million person march in Washington, D.C. That changed nothing. You had to have the most like secular person come into the government, advocate for pro-life and Christianity, and that was Trump. That's the only reason why you guys got any kind of motion on it. He said, hey, we can have abortions go unlimited through the whole country, but we're going to let the people decide this. Let women go to the ballot box and vote that they are okay with unlimited abortion or whatever policy of abortion that they want. I don't want 9 people in Washington deciding this. 5 out of the 9, really. So that's what he did. He sent it to women. You got power. You're the majority in the country. Vote for the acceptance of abortion in your home constitution, your state. Put it on the ballot. And that's what everybody did. So states are deciding. Some states are 6 weeks. Yeah, man, women got to figure out that they pregnant and they pregnant within a week and a half in some states. So that's the situation. I say, hey, we got to go back to some kind of situation where it's like this ain't working, y'all. The value of a woman's sexuality it took a plunge in the market because it's so accessible. So I don't understand why like this conflict of how much value you should give to me, how much value. Why? By the time I meet you, you have like 5 to 10 guys came across you. And that's at the low end. So I don't want to hear about this Christianity stuff. And the only reason why I'm bitching and moaning about this, because it's playing a factor in, if Trump loses, it's because of this stupid stuff, stupid conversations, okay? So I wanted to show you how ridiculous the Mormon, the Christianity, the evangelical mindset has destroyed our country. That's 2012 to now. It's destroyed our country, the passiveness of Christians and evangelicals and Mormons, to how we gotta win. We gotta win the narrative. You don't gotta do violence in your opposition. Nobody's talking, nobody's influencing, nobody's gaining power over conversation if you're doing that, if you turn it physical. You have to win the narrative. You have to win the communication of what's going on. And if you can't win that, you got the internet, you got social media, you have all this stuff that gives you power to win the narrative, and we're consistently losing the narrative. That's why the country is destroyed like it is. What could have stopped our country from being the way it is right now? The right conversation, the right narrative. And I'm watching Charlie Kirk, I'm watching Dan Bongino, I'm watching Patrick Bet-David, I'm watching Fox News, I'm watching all of y'all lose the narrative. One person I say that we got to have more conversation from, we have to have more conversation from, is people like Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com, a Detroit podcaster. And the way that he approached this stuff online, in the media and all that stuff, it's like, that's how you got to fight. That's how you got to fight. That's how you got to have control of the narrative. Go study him. If you don't want to communicate like that because you think that, oh, it's uncouth, it has a lack of statesman, or he conducts himself very clean and mild manner when he's on Fox News. And when you go to his podcast, he's aggressive. And that's how you got to play it. But the same message is coming across. They're trying to limit his time and limit how much exposure he has on the actual situation. But like him communicating his real true communication, and like giving him the coverage to actually really hit everybody the way he needs to hit everybody, to make sure he gets more control of the narrative and to really put it out there in the existence of really how we need to act upon in messaging. So I'm not gonna get all into that. We can get into that some other day. But I wanted to show you Romney. This is how Romney thinking before 2024. Leading to 2024, this is how Paul Ryan is thinking.
On Friday, I sat down with former Speaker of the House and former vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan for his first Sunday show interview since leaving office. Ryan is now out with a new book, American Renewal, a conservative plan to strengthen the social contract and save the country's finances. He also happens to be the last Republican to serve as Speaker of the House. We began by discussing the legacy of his successor, Nancy Pelosi.
It's an impressive legacy. I mean, obviously, she and I usually disagree on things, but first woman speaker, a career to be proud of. And frankly, I think about her husband, Paul, a lot these days. I just feel so awful about what happened to them. She has an incredible legacy and career to look back on.
The midterms,
see the decorum. See the decorum and the weakness of that. You are not going to win this country. You're not going to have the survival of this country playing that hand. Playing that hand. We glad nothing happened in Nancy Pelosi's husband was okay and not no crazy stuff happened. Nobody should have nobody invading their house and everything. And she's such a vital person to the country. Why the hell they didn't have security 24/7? They blowing their money on all kind of other crazy stuff. Why you don't got a security 24/7 on one of the most important people of this in this country, where somebody can walk up to any place of her husband is an extension of her. That's ridiculous. So nothing should have ever happened to him. We glad that's okay, but you are the opposition. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Your career is crappy. Your legacy, I don't care about you being the first woman Speaker of the House. We are now seeing the damage. And I keep telling people, Vice President Kamala Harris becoming the president is not the beginning of the reign of women. The beginning of the reign of women was started in the 1970s. And how we conduct ourselves is we're under the guise of, like they always say that the black community is a monarch because single mothers are raising the men. But I think it's been over the whole country. I think men have took a step back. And then you got majority men are taking a step back and giving advocacy and validity to working women and boss babes and all this stuff. And then now you're in 2024, where now you got 4 years since the pandemic, and this is where it put a spotlight on it, where women hate men, devalue men, because we subdued ourselves. We became weaker and more passive in order to, and I keep telling you guys, in order to elevate women, you can't have two go-getters, okay? You can't have two go-getters in a relationship with each other. Two driving paths. Somebody has to subdue. Somebody has to be subservient. Somebody has to be submissive towards some goal. Otherwise, you're going to have two complete instances. Friction is a blow up. It blows up. And that's what our society is. And that happened in the last 4 to 10 years. 4 to 10 years, it's been a shift of men saying, nope, nope, I'm not living like this. I'm not living like this. It's like this. What they say. Happy wife, a happy life. No, happy wife, happy life. We know now that's not good. Yes, I went by that. We lived under that. Happy wife, happy life. Oh, if I do that, she gonna let me check with her and see how she feels about that. I'll come and do that if let me see, she can see how she feels about it. We did that for 40 years. And it was wrong. It was not good. Because women are saying, no, you weak, you passive, man. Oh, man, like, why I got to think of where the restaurant go? Why I got to think of what restaurant we going to? Just think of where we want to go and tell me that's where we going. You get what I'm saying? That's what they want. They want total dominance. And now they saying, look, I make more money than you. I'm more educated than you. Why I got to be with you? And that's the relationship that men and women are having. So now that, because that's subservient and that submissive and that declining of the value of a man in order to elevate the value of a woman, because you can't have two aggressive people, bullheaded people, self-centered people, egomaniac people, confident people going into the same direction. They're not. Somebody's got to say, hey, my idea is better for what we need to do to make sure our equity and our financial situation is good. Let This is how we should go about it. Don't do nothing else. But when you got two competing interests, you got two people falling apart because risk that one person takes is too much risk for both people. Because I'm taking risk over here, you doing whatever you doing over there, I don't know what you're doing. That's stupid. So I say this again, the elevating of him sitting here talking about how great her legacy is, it's bad. Her legacy is bad. 99% of all women that have a great value right now, that value came at a cost to society. And I'm just saying, I think we're going down the rabbit hole. I don't think we give a shit what the value exchange was. I don't think we give a shit about how the culture, I'm sorry for cussing, I didn't mean to cuss, but I don't think we care about how it's messing with just the gender structure of men and women and how they collaborate with each other and they interact with each other. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You can't. It's a yin and a yang to everything. Everything. And I just don't think you guys understand.
I just feel so awful about what happened to them. She has an incredible legacy and career to look back on.
The midterms, I think I saw you had predicted that at least 15 seats, Republicans would pick up at least 15. What happened?
A couple of factors, but I personally think the evidence is really clear. The biggest factor was the Trump factor. Just look at how Kristen Sununu ran ahead of Bolduc in New Hampshire. Look at where Kemp ran ahead of Walker in Georgia. So I think we would have clearly have won the Senate had we had traditional Republicans in the general election, like these governors did. I think we would have won places like Arizona, places like Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, had we had a typical traditional conservative Republican, not a Trump Republican. So I think what we now know, it's pretty clear, is with Trump we lose. So I don't mean this personally, it's just evidence. We lost the House in 18, we lost the presidency in 20, we lost the Senate in 20, and now in 2022, we should have and could have won the Senate. We didn't. And we have a much lower majority in the House because of that Trump factor. So I think it's palpable right now. We get past Trump, we start winning elections. We stick with Trump, we keep losing elections. That's just how I see it.
See? And that's what's going on right now. Even right now in the Republican Party, they got people like him all over the place. Trump is dominating in Wisconsin. Even when he's kind of got his own political system in Wisconsin going against Trump, in the theory, Trump lose. What did we find out in the last year or two leading up to now? Trump is getting people that Republicans failed for 20, 30 years to get. He's getting white voters, suburban voters, young voters, black voters, Hispanic voters, more than any president. No president has ever had votes more than President Trump. No Republican president or candidate ever had more votes than President Trump. Only person that came more than Trump was Biden, and because I don't even believe that, but they said that he got 81 million votes to Trump's 75 million. It's like, so his electability, yeah, this is all theory in 2022, but now we know in 2024, 2 to 3 weeks before the election, this man got major support. Major support. He is extremely electable. You know what's hurting him? People like Nikki Haley and Paul Ryan and Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney and military generals and Republicans against Trump. These idiots that don't understand, you do not, if the Constitution means so much to this country, and you have an opposition team that wins, and they're trying to destroy it, do you think you're going to get that? You think you're going to save the Constitution on decorum? No, you're going to have to set people straight. You're going to have to set people straight. You're going to have to tell them what they're doing wrong and how their ideological point of view is flawed. If you don't do that, you will lose. You will absolutely lose. It's ridiculous. Just wanted to show you how ridiculous they are. So now we're going to talk about what is the ground game for the Republican Party right now? What's the ground game for the Trump campaign?
We're here with GOP Chairman Michael Wadley. Give me your reaction to this debate.
A strong debate by Donald Trump. He was able to talk about why he is going to make America great again, how he's going to make America great again. He spoke with very good, solid specifics in terms of making sure that we're going to secure our southern border. We are going to restore our economy, and we're going to unleash American energy, stop inflationary spending, and bring down those prices for every American family, and how we're going to restore our strength on the world stage and make sure that we're going to end the wars that we're seeing right now and make sure we prevent World War III.
Walk us through the next 2 months. I'm seeing extraordinary outreach from the Harris campaign. What kind of outreach will the Trump campaign do moving forward?
Well, and we're very strong in terms of our ground game right now. We're focused on the battleground states. We're focused on making sure that we're talking to our voters as well as undecided voters, and making sure that they understand exactly where the president is coming from in terms of his policies, as opposed to Kamala Harris, who did not answer any single question today about her policies.
Now, ahead of the RNC, it seemed like the Indian American community, almost 20 points, decided to leave the Biden campaign in supporting a second term, but they became independents. President Trump's done a lot of outreach personally to the Indian American community. What kind of outreach will he be doing specifically? Because Kamala Harris is half Indian, and a lot of those factors have now emanated here moving forward.
Yeah, look, I think the issues that the Indian American families are facing are the same issues that every American family is facing, right? It is higher grocery prices, higher gasoline prices, higher housing prices, and a lot of concern over migrant crime and fentanyl abuse. We need to make sure that we secure the southern border. We need to make sure that we're going to rein in inflation, and we need to make sure that we're very strong on the world stage. And when you have that combination of issues out there, then we're going to be better for every American family, including Indians.
And in terms of the final swing states, I mean, what's the focus down the next 2 months?
Well, look, I mean, you got to look at the map, right, and figure out kind of what states are going to really, truly matter. We've been talking for years now about the importance of 7, 8, 10 battleground states, states like Nevada and Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Minnesota, and Virginia. So, we're very excited about hitting the road and getting out there and having Donald Trump talk directly to the American voters about his vision.
Thanks very much.
Okay. So then that's what I'm talking about. Like, they really don't. That's not talking about no ground game. You get what I'm saying? But let's go. That's 5 months ago. Let's continue. Well, what I want to know what they did from 5 months ago into now. You get what I'm saying? I want to know what they did.
I love Virginia. Man.
Donald Trump knows how to rally a crowd.
Quick fix up. I'm one of the volunteers.
But it's the army of supporters working behind the scenes who could make him a formidable contender.
Our ground game is all over. Iowa, New Hampshire, all over. South Carolina, tremendous ground game.
The billionaire's celebrity status lures fans by the thousands.
For the typical campaign in Iowa is you do 7 pizza ranches in a day, and you get crowds of 30 at most. We do 1 event a day and get 3,000.
At every event, volunteers sign on Trump's unconventional supporters, convincing people who've never caucused before to be precinct captains in Iowa, enlisting them to phone bank in New Hampshire, and training them on turnout in Nevada. The push starts before Trump fans even arrive. They sign up for free tickets online, entering their contact information and helping the campaign build a database of potential supporters. State directors say they are inundated with volunteers, some as unique as the candidate, unafraid of using unorthodox methods to attract attention.
I wear it around town, though. Like, if I'm going to be hanging signs and putting things out, I'll wear the hat on. I'll take my parrot with me. A cockatoo likes people, so gets a lot of people's attention.
The campaign keeps a lean staff at New York headquarters. Paid employees are fanned across nearly a dozen states, including some that don't vote until March. The campaign aims to send a message to its critics and competitors. Trump is in it to win. So what's your response to people who still don't think Mr. Trump is in it for the long haul?
Well, I can't say it on the air, so it's a. But I think that a polite response would be,
and this is like probably pretty much leading up to the primaries. So this kind of let you know what their mindset is. And so obviously leading to the election, Trump, for the last 2 to 3 years, he been collecting data on people, collecting supporters information, so outreach. And I know I get it to my phone, so I know it. I know that's real. Okay, but let's go deeper into it. Let's see how. Okay, now this next clip, I just want you guys to understand. Charlie Kirk has TPUSA donors that are supporting Trump has decided to give the money to TPUSA to make sure that Trump got somebody out there doing a hell of a ground game for him. TPUSA, Charlie Kirk, has put his hands up and say, I will make sure that we got people in every state. Just give me the abundance amount of cash flow, give me everything I need, and I will make sure that we know what's going on. So TPUSA, Charlie Kirk, is one of the people that's responsible for us to know what's going on in Wisconsin, what's going on in Michigan, what's going on in Pennsylvania, what's going on in Nevada, what's going on in Arizona, what's going on in Georgia. We supposed to know immediately. I don't care what the news is saying. I don't care what the polling system is saying. Charlie Kirk raised his hand. He has millions of dollars. If I'm wrong, Charlie, please do an episode to correct me. Please. But I'm done. I need to know what you doing with your power. Don't tell me about Arizona. You live in Arizona. You have millions and millions of dollars given to your apparatus. You better win Arizona. You there. Your organization is there. Your power is there. Your voice is there. You better win Arizona. But you raised your hand to say that you knew what the RNC not doing and how to do it better. So they gave the RNC the unlimited funds. They gave you unlimited funds. Elon Musk got his super PAC out there. It's called Super PAC. They got unlimited funds. Dude, this is crazy. Crazy. What's the data? You got opposition people like what's his name? Dave Pacman. I don't like Dave Pacman because if a dumb non-information voter come across Dave Pacman, he'll turn him. He'll turn him liberal as hell. His communication is good. He looks like he actually gives a shit and he actually cares, but he's a liar and he's a propagandist. But his messaging is winning. His persona, this new metrosexual approach is winning. It's the culture that we live in. The passiveness of man is what we live in.
We are struggling right now as a movement to open up the necessary field offices to compete against Joe Biden.
Charlie Kirk, a MAGA operative known for trying to indoctrinate the youth into MAGA-Potamian thinking, is acknowledging they are getting crushed in the ground game. Joe Biden is opening offices and hiring people, whereas Donald Trump is laying off staffers and closing down offices. He is not telling us something we didn't know, but the fact that he's willing to acknowledge it publicly is still notable. So here's Charlie Kirk.
I said this.
And all that theory about Trump, that's him equate this man lies, and he got narratives to demoralize the Trump voters and people that may come across his narrative. Trump ain't closing down no buildings. He getting millions and millions of dollars to keep that stuff up. He got big donors keeping that stuff up. There's plenty of money out there to keep that stuff up, but he's saying that because it's a sly comment that nobody's gonna vet. Nobody's gonna kind of see what is he talking about to make it. He got nobody. He's talking to himself, just like I'm talking to you guys. It's no factual evidence to what he's talking about. None. It's ridiculous.
Opening offices and hiring people, whereas Donald Trump is laying off staffers and closing down offices. He is not telling us something we didn't know, but the fact that he's willing to acknowledge it publicly is still notable. So here's Charlie Kirk on the Charlie Kirk Show.
So he said that because of what Charlie Kirk is saying, he said that that's what Trump doing, closing out buildings, closing out offices and all that stuff because of the insecurities of Charlie Kirk, what Charlie Kirk is saying on this episode. So I'm just going to let him talk because I just want you guys to know this is how the opposition is carrying a narrative. And this is 5 months ago.
On Real America's Voice, where this airs, it's still a mystery to me. I've been looking under my furniture to see.
And he's talking about Charlie Kirk being on Rumble, and he got stuff on YouTube, but how you watch the show is on Rumble, and he's just kind of he got millions of viewers and stuff. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. I gotta look and see what his viewers are, but he's acting like, you know. Well, I don't know. He's some obscure weirdo, and he's just some weird, dark, mega. He's like a right-wing, black site type of guy. It's ridiculous. That's the narrative.
Where this airs, it's still a mystery to me. I've been looking under my furniture to see, is this where it airs? I don't know where it airs, but it's the Charlie Kirk Show on Real America's Voice. Here he is, saying there is a major problem here with the ground game in this campaign.
We are struggling right now as a movement to open up the necessary field offices to compete against Joe Biden. We had Citizen Kane on here, and this is, the Trump campaign is working really hard to fix Rana's mistake. Susie Wiles, Chris LaSavita, they're doing a great job of trying to fix what Rana left them. But here are the numbers, and the numbers are worth reporting. In the state of Georgia, Joe Biden has 14 field offices. In the state of Pennsylvania, Joe Biden has 14 field offices. In the state of Michigan, Joe Biden has 20 field offices. In the state of Wisconsin, Joe Biden has 44 field offices. In the state of Arizona, Joe Biden has 8 field offices. In Nevada, Joe Biden has 2 field offices. Between all of them, Joe Biden has 450 full-time people on staff in 9 states. And all 9 out of 9 swing state directors. Now, based on all of our data, we do not believe Donald Trump has a single field office in any one of those states yet open. I'm sure they're trying to fix that. And he has 5 staffers. So Joe Biden has 450 people. We have 5, and 2 out of 9 of the swing state directors have been hired. Now, thankfully, we at Turning Point Action, we have well over 100 people now chasing ballots in Arizona, trying to close that gap.
That's 5 months ago, and I don't even understand how it is like that. I got to do some research on that, and that's crazy. These people been getting hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's how Charlie Kirk is securing his incompetence if we don't win, or where he felt that. I'm not gonna say his incompetence. I'm sorry, Charlie. I like Charlie Kirk. I watch him, but boy, I'm so upset at just the approach of, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I won Arizona. I made sure you won Arizona. Dude, but you got hundreds of millions of dollars or millions of dollars. I don't care how much it was. You got enough that you asking for to make sure that you got people in Michigan, people in Wisconsin, people in Nevada, people in Arizona, people in Georgia, people in Pennsylvania. So this is ridiculous. You said that you could do this. They gave you whatever you asked for to do it. It's ridiculous. So now we gonna go up to current day, see what's the numbers. What is it looking like? I need to know what the numbers look like. What's like? So let's go closer to what's going on right now. Well, actually, let me look at this one because this is around 5 months ago too.
Donald Trump v. Biden versus all of this. As someone who loves the Word, who loves the Bible, who loves liberty, how do you plan to vote?
Yeah.
And how should other Christians vote? And how should they think about voting?
And let me say to start with, you didn't ask me this ahead of time, so you don't know what my answer is going to be, right? And without a doubt, I believe that there is one answer for this election, and that is Donald Trump. And President Trump, we have seen already his time in office. The world didn't end. There were no new wars. The economy was going great. My bank account was probably doing a little better even than it is right now. And there was many reasons to vote for him. And you've done a great job addressing some of those over the years. He has also been the most pro-Christian president, I think, that we've ever had. And repealing the Johnson Amendment from day one, being able to, first Christian president, first president I can ever remember who was speaking about persecuted Christians and actually addressing that. I can't remember any other president ever addressing persecuted Christians the way that he did. Yes, absolutely. You had to go to March for Life. And so I think this is an easy call. This is a good versus evil election. Is Donald Trump perfect? No, of course not. None of us are. But do I think he has a handle on the tyranny that we're facing today as a nation? Do I think he has a handle on what's going on in the world and the way in which elites are trying to use power to really control the masses? I think he absolutely does. And I think his policies have already been proven. I think we're going to see them work again.
I want to play cut 75 here. Jill Biden agrees with you. It is good versus evil. Who loves the word?
Yeah, I don't need to hear Jill Biden speaking stuff. But look, y'all got what y'all want. And I'm telling you, he really respected Christians. He respected Mormons. He respected all religion people to make sure that you guys in your voice is. But what did y'all pay him back by? Oh, he's not perfect. Y'all not perfect. Y'all suck. Y'all suck. Your worship of your religion suck because you are condoning things that are against your religion. You're showing more acceptance to it. I'm saying you should because you can't win that fight. You don't know how to win that fight, so don't even try to win the fight. I think this country is down the rabbit hole, and we gotta transition ourselves not even to morality and values. We gotta transition ourselves to what's best for the people to be able to make good decisions and have good prosperity in their own lives. I think everything needs to go towards that for right now. We can't fight for religion. We can't fight for morals. We can't fight for values. All we can do is fight for what allows for each and every single individual citizens to keep their individuality and do what's best for their lives and their family and their family's prosperity and their prosperity. I think to stop government for eating off of us and destroying our individuality where we can't even strengthen ourselves financially or anything else. I think we got to focus on that for right now because the narrative of morality and values we lost that fight. So the best thing you could do is go to the individuality, to go to the original foundation and the structure of the Constitution for every individual person's rights and their justice. That's what we got to fight for. It's ridiculous. So let's go to recent analyzation of the polling.
All you hear is that the Democrats are the ones with the amazing ground game and the Republicans less so. And that Trump hasn't been pushing early voting enough. So the Republicans are too dependent on day of voting, whereas the Democrats will have banked millions of votes prior to then. I'll give you just one stat. We are looking at the number of early votes already cast in the states that allow early voting. NBC News reports today that as of right now, it's just short of 1 million, 887,207 mail-in and early in-person votes have been cast nationally. So far, 52% of those are from registered Dems, 31% from registered Republicans, 17% other. So what are you seeing, thinking, and feeling about the Republicans' ground game?
Thank you, Megan. Well, again, my organization is Early Vote Action, and all of our time, talent, and energy is going just to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have a state director. We have 50 paid field staff on the ground all across Pennsylvania's 67 counties. And I want to dispel any myths right here and now that there is no ground game. I'm a data guy, so let's go over the numbers for a second, Megan. In 2016, the Democrats had an advantage of nearly 1 million more Ds than ours. Donald Trump won Pennsylvania by 40,000 votes. Fast forward to 2020, that DDR advantage was narrowed down to 650,000. And Pennsylvania was ultimately decided by a very narrow 80,000 votes with the mail-in ballots and everything else that was going on. Now, where are we today and how is 2024 different? That advantage of D over R has been narrowed down to 333,000. We have cut in half the Democrat advantage in just 4 years' time. And if you take out inactive voters, Megan, people that haven't voted in, say, 4 years or 8 years, that number is just 160,000. So Pennsylvania is very much in play. And if I were the Democrats, I would be very worried that their voter registration numbers continued to decrease even after the so-called Taylor Swift endorsement. Now, let's also talk about briefly the mail-in ballot situation. I'm here to tell you, and this is based on Cliff Maloney, his group is great, PA Chase. They're the ones that are going to be knocking on doors and chasing all of those votes. The Democrats are down 416,000 mail-in ballot requests from where they were 4 years ago at this same time. So again, 2020 was decided by 80,000. They're down 300,000 voter registrations, and they're down 416,000 mail-in ballot requests. So Republicans, in my humble, objective opinion, are in the best place possible to actually win Pennsylvania and therefore the presidency this November.
Okay, so walk us through how you do it. So you go to Pennsylvania, you set up shop there. And what do? Is it just about canvassing, knocking on people's doors and saying, hey, are you registered to vote? Are you going to vote Republican? Then let me show you how to get registered. And then walk us through how you do it.
Yes, ma'am. So again, numbers guy, data guy. Let's break this down by the math. That 80,000 number, I want everybody to write that on a chalkboard in your brain. Let's talk about conservative groups that support our values but may not vote in elections. There are 80,000 truckers in Pennsylvania alone. If we mobilize that group, we win. And think about it. Truckers, they are busy serving us, the American people. They are driving rigs on election day. And in fact, I spoke with a wife whose husband, a Pennsylvania truck driver, did not vote in 2020 because he was working. And so, especially for our beautiful truckers, we are pushing them to get a mail-in ballot. We are pushing them to vote early in the election to make sure that they lock in those votes if they're not going to be home on November 5th.
Trump hasn't been pushing.
Okay, so I'm not gonna play that whole thing, but that lets you know that they got some kind of ground game going, and it's very much in Pennsylvania. But guess what? That's not Charlie Kirk. That's a whole nother organization doing that. And it's just crazy.
People talk about, I hear it everywhere, the formidable ground game of the Democrats. Thanks to Barack Obama, this juggernaut was put in place, and that they're just better at it than the Republicans. Now, Scott Pressler, my first guest, who's holed up in Pennsylvania only, says he's changing that in Pennsylvania. Just give me the 30,000-foot perspective on that notion as we start.
Yep. Well, so the way to understand it is that, yes, the Democrats have a very powerful ground game. It's really two different tracks. On the one hand, you have the Harris-Walz campaign with all of their offices in battleground states across the country. There's more than 250 offices that the campaign has opened up. They have almost 2,000 staff on the ground. And then there's the second track, which is progressive grassroots groups. A lot of these groups have really scaled up since 2016. After that election, people felt wow, we clearly need to invest a lot more in mobilizing our voters since that election was lost by such a razor-thin margin in 2016. And that progressive ground game has a lot going for it, hundreds of different groups, but is underfunded significantly.
So that money that she gets, that she's taken in, the stats are her campaign had raised $690 million, but she also has PAC money of hundreds of millions from the PAC. So does that not go to any of those progressive ground game groups? Is that all just Harris campaign money?
Yeah, so if you think about what the money that's raised by the Democratic establishment groups is spent on, that would be, you know, the Harris-Walz campaign, the different candidates who are running in the states, like Senate candidates, and also those super PACs, like Future Forward, which is the main super PAC supporting Harris. A lot of that money goes to advertising. It goes to fighting the air war, right? TV ads, digital ads, big expenses in that. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars that's going to that air war. But some also goes quite a bit this year to that ground game that Harris-Walz campaign has with those couple hundred field offices. However, the campaign does not share its money with these progressive grassroots groups. It's not like, hey, here's $50 million and go turn out Latino voters in Arizona or Black voters in Georgia. That's not really the way things work, in part because there's legal restrictions for such funding transfers. A big part of the problem is the choices that donors make. Most Democratic donors don't know much about these progressive grassroots groups that are doing vital work in communities. And so they just give money to the Harris-Walz campaign and to the future PACs that they're familiar with.
Mm-hmm. How do you know how your numbers stack up against the Republicans? That I didn't ask Scott that in terms of offices and staffers.
Yeah, well, that has been a subject of a lot of investigation and confusion. I think that the extent of the Republican ground game is unknown, and there's not a lot of transparency there. There's a number of different ground game groups on the Republican side that are working to elect Trump. The Trump campaign itself doesn't have a strong ground game. It's largely outsourced that work to groups like America PAC, which is Elon Musk-backed group, Turning Point Action, which is the sort of C4 arm of Turning Point USA. The Koch network, Americans for Prosperity, they have
in place.
See?
And that they're just
So he's on the Democrat side. So I just let you know, like Trump. They talked about this years ago. Charlie Kirk was supposed to get his organization to be where he could be active on this. So TPUSA, Turning Point Action, TPUSA. That's Charlie Kirk. They're supposed to be action oriented. I'm not here to badmouth Charlie Kirk. I love Charlie Kirk. I think he's doing a powerful thing for us, but I don't like what I'm hearing. Okay, so these are recent, like we talking about last week conversations right here that we're about to go for Charlie Kirk, and then we're going to end this. But I just wanted to let you know these people are sabotaged because you already got the Paul Ryans and you got the Republicans establishment people counteracting against Trump, and we think that the niceties and the decorum and all that stuff, y'all gotta fight with some teeth, dude.
Give us an update. How are things going in Georgia?
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's very interesting. This time 4 years ago, we had 1.3 million people apply to vote by mail in Georgia. A lot of people don't know Joe Biden's entire margin in the 2020 election came from absentee by mail voters. He won those votes by about 400,000. So it's 1.3 million 4 years ago. So far, we've had 250,000 total requests at the same time in this cycle. So dramatically down. Only about 5,000 votes returned so far. This time 4 years ago, it was over 400,000. So that critical block of votes that put Joe Biden over the top in the certified count has been dramatically reduced from 4 years ago. Those votes that have been returned, about 2/3 are white, over half are over 65. So a lot of the data we're looking at, we don't have partisan voter registration in Georgia, but very early returns look favorable for President Trump and the Republican ticket.
What part of the state is performing well, and do we see a similar early voting surge with the Stacey Abrams cartel in downtown Atlanta, in Gwinnett, in Cobb, in Fulton?
Well, what we can say for certain is that the absentee operation from 4 years ago just isn't there, right? I mean, it's 81% lower this time than it was 4 years ago. Early voting here starts on Tuesday. We'll have a very good sense, I think, by the end of the week what's happening there. We'll have a lot of day-by-day data. I will say that the polling certainly indicates that self-identified conservatives, over 51%, are planning to vote early. We'd love to see that number go higher, but if that's what happens, it will be dramatically higher than 4 years ago. And so we're very encouraged by the enthusiasm we're seeing around the state. And again, just not seeing Kamala Harris close the deal with black voters, which she has to do to get competitive. She has to win over 90% of the black vote here in Georgia to really put this thing in play. Right now, even the AJC's own polling is showing her in the mid-70s with that group.
Whoa. So let's just take a pause there, Josh. So in order for her to be competitive, that's within 30,000 votes winning, 30,000 votes losing, right? That's what we consider competitive, basically a 60,000 vote swing. She has to go 90+% with black voters in the state of Georgia. She's in the mid-70s. You're talking about a 15-point delta that she needs to close to just get close in Georgia. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win.
That's ridiculous that 75 to 85% of the black vote is like still voting like that, just like zombies. Just ridiculous.
Standing room only crowds.
Registration by political party. So tell me how voter registration ended in Georgia.
Yeah, so we do not have voter registration by party. What we generally do is look at primary voting preference to try to get an idea of where that is. Republicans do have a significant edge. Now, if you factor in unaffiliated voters, obviously it's not an absolute majority, but there are more registered voters that have voted in Republican primaries going into this election than registered voters that have voted in Democratic primaries. And you're right, we have a lot of counties, 159 to be exact. About 20 of those counties are the really big counties, the really big urban centers around the state, and exurban, suburban counties will be watching very closely. I see lots of enthusiasm at the Turning Point chasing events we're participating in all over the state. You have record crowds.
So sounds like he's saying that he kind of sees some activity in Georgia from Turning Point action. Hopefully they're giving away. Charlie, you got to come on. I need to know what you guys are doing in all these states. Okay, I really do. Okay, let me go to another clip.
So Biden got a net 395,000 votes of vote by mail in 2020. They might get 300 to 400,000 total net vote by mail requests. That means that Kamala Harris will be if she performs the same as Biden, which she probably won't because of the black support erosion. Let's just say back of paper math, that's a 200,000 vote deficit again. But the turnout will be down, so you have to kind of understand that. Just generally, it will be harder to compare apples to apples. But point being, Josh, the percentage margins that they were enjoying by vote by mail will not be there in the state of Georgia. Therefore, this will be largely won or lost based on who will vote in person early and on Election Day. Tell us about Georgia voting culture, about in person early, and is my analysis correct?
Yeah, so we have a good, as you said in the last segment, a good culture of turning out. 2020 in a lot of ways was a anomaly for a whole host of reasons. But we have worked very hard for the last year talking to our voters about how critically important it is to vote in person early, to run up the score, to not let up. And people are responding well to that. When we started having those conversations, there was some pushback. We've been able to answer those. We've been able to explain the connection between getting our base voters out early to give us more resources to touch those low propensity voters that put us over the finish line. And people are buying into that. I think we're going to see next week really good, strong turnout from Republican strongholds during early voting.
And so let's just kind of make the final case here. What issues are driving Georgia voters the most, and to which candidate does that favor in the state of Georgia?
Well, that's another way we really have the wind at our back, because the issues that Georgians continually say they're most concerned about are the economy and immigration. And in all of the polling, President Trump has commanding leads on both of those issues. So the discussion in this campaign has largely been focused on what's your economic situation like now? Was it better 4 years ago? And then, of course, the crisis.
So Biden got a net 300.
Just want to make sure it's sticking a little bit.
In every statewide race, we have a General Assembly, our state legislature controlled by Republicans. Our congressional delegation is majority Republican. So this is a center-right state. We do have a lot of people moving in. Some of that has to do with the film and television tax credit that has brought a lot of Hollywood to Georgia. There's some other shifting around that. But even with your middle-of-the-road persuadable voter, when you're talking about their pocketbook, when you're talking about fentanyl, which has touched almost every family you can talk to in this state in some way, those issues resonate, whether that person considers themselves to be a right-wing Republican or someone in the middle. So we have continued to make this campaign and this conversation around, do you want the economy to get better for you and your family? And do you want us to finally do something to stem the tide of migrant crime and illegal drugs flowing into our state? And I believe we are winning.
Is Larry Schweikert, author and historian of the
The reason why I'm giving all this to you guys is so we can know what the numbers are, and we get, because Charlie Kirk, he's the most important, him and America Super PAC for whatever America PAC for Elon Musk is important too, but the big dough in the actual intelligence of the ground game and everything is behind Charlie Kirk. So we gotta hope that he's on his stuff. So he's kind of giving you data. And hopefully some of the people that he's communicating with in his organizations that he's kind of delegating, just like the gentleman before in Georgia and all that stuff. Hopefully he got that everywhere. But I just need him to be a little bit more confident in communicating what is going on and not leaving it up to posters and just like a whim of hoping that the vote gets turned out and all that stuff. Y'all got plenty of time to do that. You got plenty of early voting and absentee and all that stuff like that. Most people like to go to the poll and vote the day of and everything like that. But if you guys want some abundant amount of pre-vote mail-in vote or drop-off vote or early vote stuff, because it's ridiculous. We have such a shady country now with voting 2 months ahead of time or a month ahead of time. Is just ridiculous, or 2 weeks ahead of time. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so this is the last couple clips, so let this play.
Of Arizona.
Well, I don't want to hear about Arizona because he's there. I know that they're doing good in Arizona. And like I said, I'm going to be cocky and say we better not be losing Arizona. It's ridiculous.
The trend is our friend with voter registration. What other states stand out to you in the battleground universe that show that Donald Trump and Republicans have serious momentum?
Well, I think one of the biggest is Pennsylvania, where at one point, I think it was in 2012, Democrats had a lead of 600,000 over Republicans. And today that number is under 150,000, thanks largely to the efforts of Scott Presler. One analysis I've seen says that the Democrats would have to bank 600,000 early votes to offset the election day, the traditional election day Republican vote. That's not happening. Right now, Pennsylvania early ballot requests are trending now more toward Republicans. But in almost every state, the early ballot requests have seen a fall off by Democrats of anywhere from 5 to 11 points, whereas the early ballot requests by Republicans have seen a net gain of, 6, 7 points. So you've got a shift there of between 10 and 17 points in almost all these states. And so we're looking, for example, at Virginia, where they're actually voting. And typically what happens is you get a big burst of people voting. The first day early voting is available in Virginia, and then it begins to tail off for both parties. Well, you got the big burst, and it began to tail off for Democrats. But in Virginia, Republicans have actually accelerated their voting after the first day of early voting. So where Virginia right now is about 60-40 early voting Democrats, which is people say, well, they're winning. Well, they always win early votes by huge, huge margins. The story this year is that they are way, way, way down in those margins where they usually are.
Do you think Virginia's in play?
I think it's close enough that Trump could pull it out by a couple thousand votes.
Okay, so it's close. So the Democrats seem to be panicking because they're collapsing with men. Do you also see that in the data? And why do you think they're doing so poorly with male voters?
Yes, and they're collapsing with men in every race. I mean, black men now, Trump is up to around 20-something% with black males. The Democrat Party is simply a party of welfare and a party for the uber rich. It's a U. You've got the uber rich on one side, and you've got the uber poor on the other, and in the middle is all the rest of America. And this does not sit well with men who gain their identity, who gain their self-worth by providing for a family, by working. And you're just not seeing that offered by the Democrat Party. And don't take it from me. Take it from guys like Rui Teixeira, who has been arguing this for years. He's a Democrat consultant. Take it from James Carville, who, when he comes down off his meds every once in a while, actually talks about this and admits it's a huge, huge problem. The point is the Democrats don't want to hear it.
And so they're bleeding in these demographics. If Kamala Harris is able, though, to run up the score with women, can the math work for her in the sense of she wins 70% of all women voters? Is there any indication that will be the case?
No, because she is no Democrat wins women like that. In fact, Trump won suburban women in 2020 by a small amount. He wins married women. The only group he is not really popular with are the Karens, the single mothers, especially the welfare mothers who look at government as their source, their daddy. And he's not going to win them. But there's no universe in which Harris gets that kind of a advantage with women.
So what is your advice then for President Trump of where to emphasize and focus, and what state do you think universe?
I don't even want to hear that. I don't even want to hear that. Don't get no advice to Trump. Don't get no advice to Trump. He's appealing to women. He's appealing to young people. He's appealing to black voters. He's appealing to Hispanic voters. If he loses any of that, any of the gains that he got, is because of the messaging from the surrogates, the messaging for the people that is not him. They won't play his rallies on no channels but internet and Fox News. And Fox News not even doing that. The messaging that he's giving with his clear communication coming from him, he's doing the best he can on the internet and podcasts and all the stuff. This man is doing miraculous campaigning. He's losing. You guys pontificating. What message do you want to give to Trump? No, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are your organization doing? Dude, we here. Put some, hit my Cash App up, hit my PayPal up, send a message, hit my email up. I'll go show you guys how to communicate. I think communication is done. 3 weeks out, your problem ain't communication now. What's known is known. What's the personality that's personality. You guys have lost on the actual ad war. She's cut, man. She's on every single clip, YouTube, everything. They spending hundreds. They spending avatar money on ads. Communication. Now, I know Trump and I know how he moved with media and internet and social media and all that stuff. So trust me, he's been doing it. But you guys got to do something. You guys got to go viral. You guys got to be doing something really clever and stuff like that, communicating out there. You guys got to do that. And if you can't do that, look, I'm nobody on here. I just got to hope that this message get out to you guys. I'm done. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about this no more. If Trump loses, the sabotaging people, that's why I call it Trump saboteurs, that's the Republican Party, that's the Christians, that's evangelicals, that's the podcasters, that's the so-called conservative people that are always touting like values and morals and all that crazy stuff. And it's because you guys laid down for decorum. You thought that decorum was more important than saving this country. You thought decorum was more important than winning the narrative. So that's why he lost. He didn't lose because of him. He didn't lose because of his followers. He didn't lose because of his support. His support is off the hook. All we need is 2 to 3% of y'all to act right. You Christians to act right. You evangelicals to act right. You Mormons to act right. You holier than thou podcasters. And it's just ridiculous. It really is. You will never get a candidate like Trump again. That's an anomaly. An anomaly. It's ridiculous. Every Trump supporter that support him right now, he'll make sure that they'll make sure that every last one of y'all don't ever get elected. And if we won't ever be part of elections again unless it's to actually take out the Trump saboteurs. Whoever the saboteurs of this election 2024, we're going to make sure you never get elected. We'll be there to vote against you every single time. That's the message I got for you, okay? I'm sorry for the yelling and the match and stuff. I'm just so fed up with the deer in the headlights coming from our people. I love Charlie Kirk. I do want to say that. I know that I'm really kind of giving him a hard hand, but Charlie, I'm gonna listen to your show. You gotta do better, man, or you gotta tell us something, set us straight. What's the numbers? What is TPUSA doing? What have you guys been doing for the last couple of years? What? I don't know. I don't care about the colleges. This election, we are not doing this. We're not supporting this. We're not giving money away for 2028 election or 2032 election. We're doing it for 2024. You're talking to all kind of your podcasting. You're talking to all kind of other people, other organizations. I need to know what is TPUSA doing. Have people from American Super PAC come on. I'm gonna go through your stuff to see, and maybe I missed it. But I need to know some numbers. This is ridiculous. We should know now. We should know what's gonna be popping off most likely. Oh, it's too close. It's too close to call. It's too close. It's too close to call. But I want to know, is it too close to call or we don't know? It's either way. It's ridiculous. You should know something. You should know what voters are real, how much engagement we get in, what's our voters, who are people communicating with, how many people that they communicate with, how many people voted in the last election in that certain city, in that certain state, and all that stuff. You guys should have this data now. Got too much money. Somebody should be ahead of the numbers. Have 5 people working in that room. I want to know every number, every city, every state, every county. And then I want to know how we doing in the communication. How many people we're coming across. It's just like how you poll 600 people for a whole election, for the whole country. Y'all 600 polls. And then Quinnipiac will say, hey, Trump is 49, she's 49. Kamala's 49. Y'all able to say that with 600 people? Y'all got thousands of interaction that y'all having on a day-to-day basis in all these, in Washington, in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona. I don't understand why I got to try to articulate why you guys should have better information than what you're giving us right now. It's time to go out there now. It's time to put yourself on the table, put your premonitions and all that stuff. It's okay to go out. You're 2.5, 3 weeks in. Most likely with the numbers that you're going to be given now in historical value, what's been given 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time is pretty much what happened in the election. For you guys to be acting like deer in the headlights, like, we don't know, call. We don't know. Don't put it. It ain't me. That's crazy. I'm done for real now. This is ridiculous. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I don't know when I'm going to be coming back and do another episode, but hopefully today or tomorrow. I got some things I need to take care of. Thanks for joining me. I know I'm ranting and raving. Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm trying to give you guys some kind of interaction of what's going on and just the mindset of the people that's involved in how Trump is going to win. Thank you for anything that you're doing, Charlie Kirk. I just need more information, and I need you to be a little bit more confident or saying something. Give us something. Let us know who's to blame. I need to know. You can't hurt nothing right now. You can't. Y'all got negative stuff going on. She playing videos talking about he's against like Social Security and all kind of stuff, and everybody know he's fighting the Republicans to not mess with Social Security and Medicare to make sure that they know he ain't signing nothing that messes with that. And but on the news, on the media, on commercial ads, make it seem like and there's no opposition to point of view on this stuff. It's just ridiculous. Okay, I gotta go. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one.